Welcome to Beyond Perception. I'm Simon, and my guest today is Colette Streicher. Welcome, Colette. It's great to have you here. And just to briefly introduce you, you're a psychotherapist, a peak performance coach, and the founder of the MAP Coaching Institute. It's my joy to be here with you today.
Well, it's amazing. Thank you, Simon, for inviting me. And it's really a pleasure.
It is, yeah, it's my joy as well. So you developed the MAP, Make Anything Possible method to overcome stress, anxiety, self-sabotage, so everyone can live their highest potential. And I'm looking forward to dive into it. And I thought how to best start this conversation. And when I look at people or see successful people, and I think that's something many can relate to, the first thought might be, yeah, they were just lucky, or it just came naturally to them. They did not have to go through the same difficulties as I have or I'm exposed to. And it might be difficult to relate to them. And I would love to start with your own personal background, if you don't mind, because the little bit I know about you is you had a difficult childhood. And maybe to then make the bridge from where it started to what you're doing today, how did your childhood influence or set you up for what you're doing today?
Oh, that's a good question because it did, as you can guess. Well, my mom was really, really, really depressed, to say the least. Both my parents had PTSD due to the wars. They were both veterans. And my mom, wanted to leave the planet several times. And one time I saw her on the floor and I thought it was done. And I was like crying and crying. And then I finally got something inside of me saying, you know what? I am going to be happy and I'm going to help my family be happy and anyone else who wants to be happy on this planet. And I was just 9. But that kind of got me over the bump, if you want. And my mom didn't pass away at the time, so it was a good news. But still, my determination was clear. I wanted happiness in life. And I knew that the mental health was at the key of it. Was actually the center of happiness. So 12 years old, I'm reading Freud, doing my own psychoanalysis. I even developed a technique to raise my self-esteem because I had such a low self-esteem. I was feeling so bad about myself. And one day I sat down and I created this technique and I did it and it did help really well, actually. And
so you kind of did a therapy on yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I was already analyzing my dreams, with Freud. And then I did my own therapy, like, oh, I have such a low self-esteem. I'm feeling so bad about myself. And I discovered this little technique. I created it on the spot. And if you want to know what it was pretty logical. I say, you know what? I don't love myself. Why is so? What are really the things I don't like about myself? And I tried to write down anything. It's like, I have a good heart. So I tried to help. I really honestly was not a bad child at all. I didn't do anything wrong. And then I realized, you know what? And then I said, but what is good about myself? And then I realized I had a lot of good points. And it's like, you know what? This low self-esteem thing, I can let it go.
And that was
literally,
at the age of 12.
Yes, 12 years old. So I let it go. I felt better already. And then in my 20s, I get sick a lot. So I immediately began, really 20 years old, yoga, shiatsu, Japanese medicine, massage, Reiki. It's at the beginning of a journey of all alternative medicines I can find. Diet, of course, new food, organic food, all of that. And that was in the 80s, to give you a sense, it was not very common yet at the time. And then I felt good. And then in my 30s, I became pregnant. And as a mom, all the triggers came in. Oh, my mom was not there, not present. I didn't know how to be a mom. And so I realized, wow, I need psychotherapy big time. I was depressed, anxious, feeling bad. So I did psychotherapy for several years, felt better. And then I really wanted to do more and become, actually my heart was to become a psychotherapist myself, to really master my mind and emotions and also help others. Remember, I always had that dream to help others. So that's when in 1995, I moved from Paris to Chicago, to America. And for many reasons, several reasons, my husband had a new job, but really it was my dream. I was pushing the whole thing. I was like, come on, let's go to America. I want to learn from the cutting edge. And that's what I did. I went to the university, the classic long way, especially I had a baby at the time, my son, and so it took me many years. I also studied quantum physics at the same time. Just, I was fascinated by how do we create reality? What makes the difference? What is energy? What is consciousness? So I studied all of that and ended up with a master's degree specializing in family therapy as a licensed psychotherapist. And I became in the US finally. But at the very beginning, the first time I step on the floor on the ground of America, I look for alternative. I was not in America for the long therapies that are painful. I did it. I knew it. I didn't want that. I came here for the cutting edge. So I looked around, and that's when I discovered energy psychology. And the first, the tapping technique, the EFT. Have you done EFT? Do you know
I
about
think
it?
I have a little bit of experience. Someone showed it to me and I used it for a while. Yeah, so I know
A
kind
little
of what
bit.
it is about. Yeah, but
Yeah.
if you want to share a few words to our listeners who might not know it.
Yes, that's true. It's for me, it's so evident. It's been since 95, but it's tapping on different acupuncture points while you're talking about the situation you are wanting to release. And it's really a very good technique. And so I studied that, but then I studied many, many, many others, like for 15 years. I just couldn't stop studying because there was part of me that was always asking those 4 questions. I didn't know that I had those 4 questions, but I realized later
Voilà.
that's what I was looking for. So I always wanted to find faster. Is there, could we go faster than that? Good question. The second one was, could it be gentler? So you see, tapping was great, etc., but you still focus on the event, on the trauma. You still talk about it. And many other methods. You have to go through the pain of the memory. So I was looking for gentler. And also the third was, could it be easier? Some methods, like a child cannot do NLP. NLP is more about, using your mind and visualizing, for example, something that comes closer to you. You eliminate the color, you do this. I mean, there's a lot of mental activity that a child could not focus on or follow, especially a baby, let's say. Okay. So I was looking for something that's simpler. And eventually I was also at the end, the last thing was I was looking for something complete. Like it's done.
So
And
what does it mean complete? So you do it once and it's
yes,
done.
and that's what I was looking for, complete, because sometimes I was doing a method and then the person would come back 6 months later and there was still something there. And I didn't know what it was complete until I went on my own journey.
Hmm.
So what happened? I come to America, I
Mhm.
do all those things, and I inherit money from my family.
Mhm.
And sounded like a good
Lucky
news.
you. Yeah.
Lucky I was. Well, 2.5 years later, my entire fortune is down to 0.00. I tried to invest in something and this and that and gave it away, and I didn't value it, and I couldn't keep it in my hands. And when I see the 0.00, I realize, wow, my subconscious ran my show for 2.5 years. What is that? What is the subconscious? After all those years of studying everything,
Mhm.
I really never believed in the subconscious programs as much as I believe now
Mhm. Mhm.
because I saw it. I was a therapist. I couldn't stop myself until
Mhm.
I saw zeros, and that literally
Mhm.
woke me up like an hypnotic state. Like, oh, I was sitting in that chair. I was like, what happened? Zero. It's not possible. Is it the right bank
Mhm.
account? Yes.
Mhm.
And then I woke up and say, what happened to me? Oh, I was run by my subconscious for all those years. So then I realized, okay, I want to be the best I can in subconscious. It just gave me, again, you can always go up or down. Something like
Mhm.
that happens, you can just, or you can say, you know what? I have more determination than ever before. And that's the gift that is in every challenge we have in life,
Mhm.
is when you take it on, man, it propels you to the next level. So that's what happened. So I do that. I go to 11 different therapists specialized in money blocks in a year. You might wonder, either therapist or did some therapies or study other therapies, because I was obsessed. I didn't want to leave one stone unturned. And I discovered very early that each one of them were only focusing on one aspect, if you want, one piece of the puzzle
Mhm.
of the entire money block pattern.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
one was dealing with chakra system. The chakras, the centers of energy
Yeah.
that are connected to the endocrines at the center of the body. Uh, yeah, the first chakra is known for money blocks. Okay, so I go there. I remember I studied that my whole life, when I was in my 20s, the energy therapies and all of that.
Mhm.
So I was into it. But then after that, the tapping was only Chinese medicine, only on acupuncture points. Then I did past life therapies, then biodecoding. That was huge. That means generational patterns of financial blocks. I discovered something amazing there about my grandfather that has broken his neck when he fell off a roof and could never feed his family afterwards. And I took it on like I couldn't feed my family, even though I was not the male in the family. I mean, it was deep,
Mhm.
okay? But I
Mhm.
just to
Mhm.
go fast here. So I really quickly, and there was one, it was only what happened during the womb. I'm thinking that therapy is definitely missing a lot of data. And was honest with me. I looked at all of them and I say, oh, this one is missing that, this one is missing that, this one is missing that. And it's like, oh, we don't have any holistic psychology. And I'm looking for it, can't find it. Well, forget about it. Then, I go to the airport and pick up a client, and that's when the story of MAP begins, where I find the work of I pick up the client from the airport. She came from France and she didn't tell me the facts. For 2 weeks VIP, I thought she had phobias and a little bit of depression. I was thinking, okay, the phobias, no problem. I can handle that. And then I discovered she had a bipolar disorder. Imagine that. No way I could tap it away in 2 weeks or do anything in 2 weeks. So it motivated me to look into psychiatry. And that's when I found the work of Dr. Flint. Dr. Flint was a psychologist in Canada at the time, And he was specialized in literally a worst case scenario. So he was specialized in torture survivors, mind control and cults. Imagine that, schizophrenia. He had done it all. And so he had discovered that we could train the mind, that there was like a healer in the mind.
So kind of the worst situations a human could be exposed or experiencing.
Yes, he really went for the worst. And he really had a big heart that really wanted to find a solution. So he had himself studied a lot, NLP, hypnosis, this and that, EFT, all of that. And so he was very open-minded and really wanted the best for his clients. And he discovered that there seemed to be a healer in the mind because his clients were giving him tips, especially when he was doing EFT, actually. It's about tapping on different acupoints. And before they would tap, the client would say, there is like a little sensation under my eyes. Oh, then say tap here, and then tap there. And so there was a healer inside. And I was like, wow. So for him, it was the subconscious mind that he could train to heal the rest of the subconscious. So you see, we have the conscious mind, which is the peak of the iceberg, if you want, the top. And then the subconscious or the unconscious is all the programs, beliefs, emotions, memories that are recorded during this lifetime. So he was training that part to heal itself.
A quick question here, Paul. So that means in principle, there's no condition that can't be healed?
Well, you're right. I believe so now that I have enough experience in my life. Because all conditions are connected to different, actually the mental, emotional, energetic. These are kind of layers, if you want. The spiritual is at the top, leading to mental, which means beliefs, core beliefs that are sabotaging you, leading to emotions that are painful, etc., that are creating pressure or discomfort in the energy system is being blocked. Then the organs don't get the energy to work on, so they get sick. So the whole thing comes first from the spiritual, if you want, your feeling of being connected to source or being totally isolated, alone, disconnected, with no purpose in life. And so that's your spiritual being, and the conditions can come from as far as that, as high as that, and it trickles down. So with MAP, my interest was to handle the mind, but to go even higher. And that's why in MAP, we're using not just the subconscious mind, but actually the superconscious mind. And that's the big breakthrough. And that happened there. So it happened because I realized that Dr. Flint's work was still not complete. Remember my questions? I was like, oh, it's good, it's fast, it's gentle, etc., but it's not complete because Dr. Flint is a psychologist. So what is the subconscious for him? All the memories are on a timeline from conception to now. Doesn't include, certainly not past life, generational, doesn't include somatic memories, especially muscle memories or organs memories or chakra system, or you see what I mean? There was a lot of memories that were not addressed, as I had learned along my life, that all those approaches were valid and addressed different types of memories. So I realized, wow, we're missing out a huge point. What if we could really expand the idea of the mind healing itself? Now it's like the holistic mind, all types of memories, from the cellular memories to the entire story of your soul. All those are memories, and they are recorded in the field. Remember, I studied a little bit of quantum physics, so I knew about it's called the field or pure consciousness, the ether. There are so many words to it. Some of them are spiritual, some are more physics oriented. But there is a field of information where everything is recorded.
And do you just out of interest want to explain how or if that differentiates to the superconscious? You mentioned the subconscious, the pure consciousness is, how would you differentiate them if you do?
Yes, definitely. The subconscious is really the programmed mind from the beginning, from even in your DNA, everything that's been programmed generationally, etc. So it's the egoic mind, if you want, with all its programs, its core beliefs about itself and limiting beliefs, a lot of them, that creates programs, literally like a computer. You give it a program and it runs it. But we are not robots, there is a part of us that's beyond that. That is actually pure awareness. When you do mindfulness meditation, or you realize that you can observe yourself, you're aware of your own thoughts, your own emotions, your own belief, your own body. So if you're aware of that, you're not that. There is the true part of you is your awareness. You are pure awareness. And when you quiet the ego mind, you find that part of you that is pure peace, infinite wisdom, connected to all things. And that's what we're talking about here. So, not going too much into details, but there is a huge difference between the programs of the brain that makes you run like a robot, literally. I mean, not wanting to, but that's true. We're on automatic. Science says at least 95% of everything we do is due to the programs every day. You open the fridge, whatever you choose is your program. Whatever you say, it's all programmed. However, there is a wise part of us that is beyond it all, that we can engage because it's your true self. And that's, the superconscious mind. So Carl Jung was already talking about the superconscious. And he was talking about it in terms of collective consciousness, which means, okay, it's so much broader than the little conditioned mind. We're tapping now into the infinite, the collective. And so to go even beyond, it's like all information, all data. So I realized that the Flint's work was not complete because it was limited to the programs in the brain at the time. Imagine that. And then, yes.
Or just another question, because you mentioned it before. So is trauma, problems, conflicts, is that always a consequence of memory?
Oh, yes. Everything is about every conditioning, aside from our pure self, true self, which is completely at peace. Completely, when you live in that true self, it's actually a sense of infinite peace. Nothing triggers you. You are eternal, you're infinite, you are pure wisdom, you're connected to infinite intelligence, you're guided moment by moment in the present moment. This is the state of your real true self. Everything else is conditioning. And conditioning means memories. Your subconscious is a super duper memory machine. It records absolutely everything. And it creates programs to try to keep you alive. The brain is more like to keep you alive, not to thrive or be happy or be playful, just to keep you alive. So that's why there is a lot of fear there and limitation programs and all of that.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I think you talked about the different kinds of memory and that you looked at something which incorporates all memory.
Yes, you're right. So there are different memories. Traditionally, we thought it was all in the brain.
Mm-hmm.
That's what psychologists were thinking. And then now we are discovering it's somatic too. But there is more. The ancient medicine in Chinese medicine, they knew that the organs are actually recording emotions. Like your liver is connected to anger, for example,
Mm-hmm.
your lungs to sadness and grief. So if someone has a bad news and a huge sadness or grief might develop a lung disease because it creates, there is the memory of the sadness literally anchored in the organs. So you study that when you study Chinese medicine, that's what I've learned. And I realize it's very, very connected. It's incredible. So we have memories in the organs. Then you have the Hindu knowledge, the Ayurvedic medicine that studies the chakra system. Now, the chakras are actually centers of energy and they are related to your endocrines. So Dr. Candace Pert almost got actually a huge, she was really recognized to begin the research on the biology and connected to immune disorders and the thoughts and the emotions. And so she studied the chakra system and the connection with the endocrines at the center of the body. So endocrines record memories. Like I have treated people who had thyroid issues, and actually it was because they couldn't talk at the time of the trauma. And they recorded all of that in the thyroid. So the body is kind of an expression of your mind. And so traumas are events that you cannot really handle at the time. You can't process them. So oftentimes they are recorded then in the body, in the organs, in the endocrines, in the chakra system, etc., in the DNA. And now research has proven that's, I think, many generations. I don't know if it's up to 7, but at least 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, I know, they have tested out that traumas are actually recorded in the DNA. So generational trauma. So now we're talking about generational memories. And for those of you of you in the public who are open, because I am open to that idea of parallel timelines, knowing it in quantum physics, but also in ancient knowledge that we are living parallel timelines simultaneously. Actually, there is no time and space. So I don't want to go too deep into that, but I also consider that in my method, all types of memories, because I have seen incredible results just with that.
One quick question. So is trauma, and from your point of view, not processed emotion, which is stored as memory?
Yes, we can say that. It is stored as memory. Has
Or
not been
emotional
able to be
charge
processed.
related to a memory?
Yes, yes, because there is an emotional charge. So there are 2 types of memories actually for every event. There are base memory, which is just the facts, what you hear, what you see, what you smell, and then the emotional memory, which is like a layer on top of it. And that emotional memory is everything, because if it's really a painful memory, it creates resistance, and then it's stored, and it's kind of in your library, and it pops back up every time there is something similar in your world happening. It's affecting your program.
So the energy got stuck in your system. It's blocked.
Yes.
It's not being expressed or felt.
Yes, and therefore it's so in MAP we don't really express, or we feel it a little bit, but I was looking for a more gentler method.
Yes.
That's where we went from first a complete method. So that's when we went from the subconscious healing itself to the superconscious, who knows all those, remember, who knows where all those memories are, from the cellular to the entire story of the soul. And that was given to me as a channeling. You know, I was getting this word over and over, and discovered that we needed to talk to the superconscious, communicate with the superconscious level of consciousness to heal the subconscious, all the programs, wherever they are, in a holistic manner. So yes, and I don't know, I have lost the thread here, but I was explaining why we went from just the subconscious healing itself to the superconscious, now integrating all types of memories, like we were talking about. And so what happens in MAP is connecting with your idea of how do you release those memories. With MAP, the difference with other methods, more or less all of them that I have studied along the years, is that we don't have to talk about the memory at all. We can just, even if we don't even have to know all of it, but let's say the first time around you have a memory of a car accident, you can think about it, you bring it up to consciousness, but then you stay aware, like in a mindfulness state. And then we give an instruction to the superconscious to scan the entire consciousness of the client to find every type of memories that are connected to that one event, but not just from that lifetime, from everything, from the DNA, the generational history, the body memories, all types of memories. And we can treat them all. The superconscious can neutralize those memories, all of them, in one instruction, for example. So it's one part of a whole hour of session, one step at a time, but one of them is to go back up into the generational history, for example, and ask the superconscious to find those memories and neutralize all of them at once. So you see, we are neutralizing many memories without having to talk about them, even remember them. They might pop into your mind, when you do a MAP session, you have clarity. I have clients who get really good clarity about where it came from. But it's all cleared at once without losing any time talking and any pain.
That sounds almost too good to be true.
Yes, exactly. That's a good point. So now there are more and more rounds of that, addressing all types of memories during a session, because perhaps you have nothing generational. And the next one would be in the chakra system or in the Chinese meridians or so we make sure that during a session we address all types of memories. So that's why it's a holistic medicine, a holistic psychology for the first time.
And then and what is, the thing that actually then is happening is that only the memory, the facts are remaining in the subconscious mind, and this emotional charge is disappearing.
Yes, exactly. You're right. So you're not forgetting that you had a car accident, but when you think about it, it's almost like, yes, it happened, and you're at peace with it. So it will not affect your ability to drive on the highway, to get back in your car, to, your behaviors, because when you have a trauma, oftentimes it affects your behaviors. You want to protect yourself from having it again. So you don't do this and you don't do that. And now your life begins to be limited, or you get very angry, or you get triggered. All of that is gone. When it's complete, I was telling you, you see, you don't have a little piece of it there or a little piece left there. We have a lot of people who have done 30 years of therapy, and in 20 minutes, 25 minutes in my workshop, when I do a demo, it's just gone. Now they know it's complete. Now, it's not always the case, but it happens so many times. Like at every workshop I give, there is at least one or two that's just like, it's gone. Spent 10 years on that, 30 years on that. because they were never addressing the chakra system, the this, the that, you see. They were just addressing the memory consciously. And oftentimes they say, oh, I thought it was my dad, the issue. But I remember now it was my mom. It was an issue with my mom that I had actually. So they end up having insights and clarity and connecting the dots. And so it makes it very awakening. It's like, wow, okay, I get that. I understand now. And the whole thing is internal. Like all the coach does or the therapist does is just encourage, through the superconscious, give an instruction. It's like, hey, in general, let's say, hey, superconscious, go and find the origin of that and neutralize it. It doesn't say you should not eat sugar at lunchtime. It's not telling you anything. It's just giving the process, stimulating, if you want, the self-healing.
That's amazing. I'm not sure if that's possible in this conversation, but could you share a little bit how you stimulate or activate the superconscious to initiate that healing? What's the process to do so?
Yes. Well, first we train the brain of the client through a 12 minutes video. So for those of you who are curious and you want to experience MAP, we can share later how they can. But first, there is this video that trains the conscious mind, the subconscious, everything, the parts of you, trauma parts, aspects of you, trains the superconscious. So there is a little bit of a training, if you want, to clarify how things will go and how gentle it will be and what kind of memories we're going to address and all of that. So there is this training. And then during the session, I give a little more training, and we use, it's a mixture of amazing protocols or learning from different methods. And one of it is Ericksonian hypnosis. So we don't do hypnosis, Ericksonian, I don't know if you know, but there is no hypnotic state per se. It's just use of metaphors in a discussion, in a communication. So we use a metaphor to train the superconscious how to find the memories and what to do with them. So we give a training to the superconscious. Once the superconscious knows what to do, then I just give it the superconscious of the client some instructions. It's a little too much to explain here. It's hard to imagine, but yes, the best is, of course, to experience it. But that's it. Then I just give instruction. So let's say you focus on a car accident, you have been trained, your superconscious knows what to do. Now I'm saying, superconscious, do you see this car accident? Can you go back there, find the memories in the body, there, and there, and neutralize them? And then for a few minutes, you would close your eyes and you would see things, remember memories, beginning to feel things in your body, releasing, the shoulders relax, the breathing is different. And then open your eyes, you feel like you've processed the first round. It's only a few minutes, but you already measure the progress. And then, okay, I ask the superconscious another, because I have a whole number of different instructions that I find out. So I explain more in other ways, but so it goes deeper and deeper into all types of memories that we were talking about, this holistic approach. So that at the end, when you really have the time to go through all of them, it's just like, wow, it's complete. Now we're talking complete, you see? You can't even, like someone yesterday was saying, I can't even recall the emotion. Of course, she could recall the memory, but even the memory sometimes is a little vague, but the emotion is just, you can't bring it back up. It's done, it's gone, it's complete. Yeah.
That's incredible. And that is then also something the client kind of recognizes, realizes, like it's
Yes.
gone.
What is beautiful is it's self-healing. that is engaged. So instead of the therapist or the coach having to know everything and, try to do things, it's literally kind of encouraging the healing by itself. Like you have innate wisdom, and we're just saying, okay, innate wisdom, go ahead and heal that. The best way, the fastest way, the most gentle way. So the person ends up having a self-healing experience. So because it comes from them, they believe in it. It's like, oh, I saw, what happened to me, or I heard this, or I connected the dots with my family now. Oh, so they have plenty of insights, and they didn't have to say a word. So it's very private. So that's why we can do it in groups.
Are you fed up of being paralyzed in a corset of rules and dependencies, seeing no way out because of doubts or senselessness, bumbling along numbly in your job, or just toiling away, believing that something is wrong with you, or simply swimming in the conformity soup? In other words, wasting your life waiting around? If that's the case, you came to the right place. The Art of Creating workshop is all about waking up from your trance and revealing without doubt the incredibly creative spirit lying within you, reconnecting with your unique intuition, and giving you powerful creative tools that empower you to create your life regardless of the circumstances, the way you love it. Big words? Yes. But not even close to the reality and possibility of you. So sign up here now, let yourself be creatively blown away, and wake up to the wonder of you. That's amazing. So it's really accessing or initiating one's own self-healing capabilities and abilities.
Yes, exactly. So the person begins to feel more and more empowered, saying, oh, I have this inside of me. I am connected. It's incredible.
Yeah. We will definitely link to your website. And if there's something also later you want to share on how people can connect with you, please do so. What I would love to also ask you, because I know that one aspect of your work is healing, but then it's also supporting and empowering people to create, to not just come back to baseline, but also go beyond. Do you want to talk a little bit about the distinctions, healing versus creating? What differentiates it? What are your thoughts about it?
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Of course, because when we discovered, the healing part of it, it was so magical, and adding all of that, it's kind of fascinating. So, but once the map session with the superconscious was really well done, then I had a little bit of space to look around and say, hey, my entire life, I believed in manifesting. That's my secret passion, if you want. Before the secret came out, I was like, oh, I know the power of the mind. And I didn't know how to express that. Since I was 12, I was reading books, as you know. And I was always wondering, what is reality and how do we create it? So that's when I said, oh, now I understand where this comes in. Because I realized there are 3 steps we need in order to create your life. It's not about just clearing. You do want to live your life through your dreams and your heart. What is really exciting you? What do you truly desire? And then you will have a happy life. So it's not about just clearing traumas and patterns and anything. This is necessary to allow you to create your life. So what I discovered is the first step, you want to know what you truly desire. And sometimes you don't. Sometimes you have to do the step 2, which is clearing with the superconscious. A lot of times before you begin to even have a dream or allow yourself to dream or feel worthy of happiness. I mean, sometimes you do want to clear a lot before you can begin to dream about yourself and realize your dream. Sometimes no, you're already ready, you're already, everyone is different, and it's perfect. So if we were to do 3 steps, the first step is to clarify. I call it magnify your dreams. Make them bigger. Don't be shy. Don't shrink it. Just really be authentic with yourself and ask, what is it if I had no limitation at all? Who would love to become? First. And then second, you're going to have all the doubts, fears. Oh my gosh, who am I? Who am I to even think I could do that? And I have a story for you on that one. And then the third step, I just want to finish the steps, it's creating new neural pathways. Because you see, step 2 is the superconscious. It's perfect to go and find the weeds of your garden and take them out. But then, the weeds come back, or things, it's not like you're growing a rose garden if you're just pulling the weeds out.
Yeah.
You do need to grow something. And you need to fill up the void with new neural pathways of who you truly, truly desire to be. And this is completely new neural pathways. You're not the same person. If you want, I have so many stories on that, but let me give you an example.
Yeah.
This woman, she came to me and she says, Colette, really, who am I to think that I could ever work with the astronauts at NASA? That has been my dream since I was 7 years old. But who am I? I'm a single mom at the time, 5 little kids. She was actually in the middle of a very violent divorce. She had a violent husband before. She had dropped out of college. She had no money, and she had 5 little kids. And she said, who am I to even dream that? And I thought, well, there's some work to do. Let's go. But she was so motivated. She was like my A student, if you want, A star, like, let's go. I wanted to. So she did. She knew what she wanted, but the doubts came. Who am I? I'm not even independent financially. How could I even go back to college? 5 kids, they're always sick. You have babies and you know what? 3.5 years later, she did those 3 steps. Rewiring her brain. Talk about that. She went back to school, top of her class. She graduated as an electrical engineer. And she was so good. Like she got an award, a national award. And then she applied the first job to NASA. Guess what? They were opening the doors. And at the time, they were so impressed by her self-esteem, self-confidence, brightness, 15 hours of interviews with different engineers and this and that. I was during COVID with the mask and all of that. And she did so well. They say, you choose the department.
Wow.
And there is one department that is the most coveted department in the world in NASA. This is the one that works with the astronauts every single day on the International Space Station. And people apply like 100 times. She had a colleague, he had applied 100 times to get in there. Never got in. So she didn't know that at the time, but she said, I want that job. It was open. And they said, you got it, girl. She literally became a rocket scientist in 3.5 years.
Amazing.
So everything is possible.
Now, my question is, you talked about rewiring the brain. How is that working?
Yes. So we know now the step 1, okay, you can guess. It's about clarifying. I have my own technique, but it's easy to kind of guess. Second one is the superconscious, to clear those things and completely retransform those core negative beliefs, sabotaging core beliefs like I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I can't do it. All that has to go. But then how do you rewire the brain? I didn't know either. I was stuck at one point in my,
Hmm.
I did 11 therapies. I still didn't earn more after years. I was thinking, how do I do that? And I ended up praying one day, saying, I need the
Hmm.
third step. How do you rewire the brain? And you know what? Suddenly I remembered I had done it when I was 17 years old. At 17, I was wiring my brain to attract my soulmate. And I did it every night. And guess what? I was in high school, last year of high school, I met my soulmate. And we're still happily
Hmm.
married. So I thought,
Hmm.
whoa, I did it once. I can do it twice now for abundance, unlimitedness. That's what I wanted. Unlimited abundance of everything. And I did it. I rewired my brain. So it's an intensive emotional, because the brain is lazy. If you don't put any emotion, it's not going to create any new neural pathways. Tell me, I tell you that. So
I
it's a
can confirm that.
positive, yeah.
Hmm.
You need to be very emotional, positively, in love, appreciation, gratitude, just loving it. And so I wired my brain like that with that magnetization. It's called magnetization, like you become a magnet, and of new thoughts, new ideas, new solutions, new actions. So that's the three steps. You do need to rewire your brain. And people forget about it. They all focus on, oh, there's something wrong with me. Let's clear, clear, clear.
Hmm.
At the same time, you want to build a new positive brain because there are thoughts you have never had before in your life. Therefore, you don't have any neurons going there.
And could you share a bit more about how to do the magnetization? Is it
Yes.
visualizing? Is it imagining how you would love it to be? Or how does it work?
Yes. So there are several ways.
Mhm.
The first one I developed it's called the tree magnetization. Uh, it begins with first you get a theme, like I want a new career. Let's say you want a new job. Okay, someone
Mhm.
wants a new job. That's the theme. Then the branches. Imagine the branch of a tree. That's the how it's going to look like. Like, what do you really want? Getting more detailed. Like, I want an amazing team and it's not far from home and it's well paid and it's fun and people love me. There is an atmosphere, a culture is loving and amazing. And I feel joyful every day when I go to job. This is some details just to begin to warm up, if you want, the brain and
Mhm.
create a context.
Mhm.
Then
Mhm.
you go to the trunk, and the trunk is more like a summary, the statement like it's in the present time and it's
Mhm.
an intention.
Mhm.
Like you draw a heart in the middle of the trunk, it's like, I have the perfect career, the perfect job.
Mhm.
It's an affirmation in the present. And I like to use perfect sometimes. It's very easy. It simplifies everything.
Mhm.
The branches kind of explain the perfect,
Mhm.
to summarize it. And then it's all about the feeling. So you go into the roots
Mhm.
and you can literally draw it. I've drawn some, you can
Mhm.
literally draw it and have fun with drawing or just walking. I was doing it walking a lot.
Mhm.
Like I imagine this, and that. That's who I have. I have the perfect this. And then how does it feel? And then you constantly ask, how does it feel? It feels like what? It feels like joy. It feels like fun. It feels like
Mhm.
pride. It feels like abundance. It feels like, wow, I am wanted. I am loved. I'm accepted. It feels like joyful. It feels like possibilities.
Mhm.
And then you really get the feeling going because the feeling is what creates new neural pathways. And also in quantum physics and how the universe works, you are in a special frequency. The feeling is when your thoughts have become a frequency. It's just really a message in the
Mhm.
universe. So the more emotional you can be, positively emotional. That's the lesson I got when I was 17 and I was, you know, my soulmate. So I want a soulmate, the ideal soulmate. At the time, I didn't do much of the branch. I was just like, I have a soulmate that loves me and adores me, and I love him and adore him. That was my thing. And it feels like I am in love. I adore him, and I could visualize. So you can have visions at the same time. You do everything again. It could be visions, it could be feelings, it could be actions you take or movements, every sensory act, and you do it very intensively. And I would do it at least every day, and it would feel so good. As soon as it doesn't feel good and you feel like, oh, I need to do my exercise, oh, you're off, completely off, don't do it. But if you say, I can't wait to go on my walk and think about my amazing career coming up, or my perfect business, etc.
So it's really to connect with the emotion or feeling of what you want to bring into creation.
Yeah. And when you expand with it allows you to begin focusing on it, because we manifest through focus and the meaning we put on it. Focusing our attention is the magic pill. It's the magic energy. Attention is, your awareness, but when you move it through the mind, it becomes attention. And now it's kind of gold. You're literally spending your attention. Your attention is gold. It's what creates reality in this universe. So you focus your attention and you begin to get details like, oh, yes, I would like it to be just not a lot of driving. And oh, I like when there is groups that it's friendly. Oh, I like that it's like open-minded place where I can be myself and there is holistic approach. Or you see, you begin to define your dream. What do you truly like? What do you truly would love? It's all about love. What would I love? And then I have this amazing thing that feels so good. And then how does it feel? And you stay on it. Even if it's one feeling, it feels joy, 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 joy. It's so much joy. I'm so excited.
Wow. So when I'm listening to you, it seems to me that healing is kind of getting away from what you don't want, and creating is like for the sake of bringing something into being as an expression of love, because you want to see it in the world.
Exactly. And the thing is, when you begin to dream, oftentimes you have doubts, fears, and stuff. And that's where step 2 is important, to just clear them. You cannot hold a doubt in your mind. You want to reach a point of complete alignment.
And that's a possibility for everyone?
Absolutely. You just have to do it correctly, Yes, have the right tools and be determined to, I want alignment. And then when you bring up even the magnetization itself can bring you things to clear. It's like when you begin to do the magnetization, you don't do it to force anything. You do it because you're feeling good already and you love it and there is no attachment and you're in that amazing space. But if you're not, you realize what you can bring into a map session. Step 2, oh, I could clear that. I really don't believe I am worthy of it. Oh, okay, now we can have a map session. You see those 3 steps, or you can readjust your step 1 and say, oh, that's not exactly what I want. I really want that. So it's co-creation, you have to just on a journey until you find it.
So if there's a difficulty to connect with emotion or with the vision I have, or if I have trouble visualizing it, that might be a hint that there's a program to be cleared.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the number 1 is unworthiness. And I never realized how powerful those programs are to block anything to receive. Unworthiness. And it's very, I discovered along my way, because I'm always exploring and I am the guinea pig, that you want to treat worthiness. I have never seen it anywhere else. Because with MAP we can do that. So that's what I do with my program is that we really are very, very specific. For example, a business owner who doesn't make money. It could be, I'm not worthy of money. Yeah, I'm worthy of money. I'm not worthy. So you try it. I am worthy of profit. Oh, that's not feeling good. It feels a little guilty to have profit just for me. I am okay to pay all my team, but to keep something for myself. So, or I'm not, am I worthy of ease and doing it with ease? Oh no, it has to be hard work. If not, my worthiness, I won't feel worthy of it. I mean, you discover so many stuff when you are really exploring worthiness.
And this is then something you do in a conversation, or is it through kinesiology or some kind of other way of kind of finding where that program exactly is sitting?
Well, it depends. If you're just by yourself, like I was when I was exploring different things, it's an inner journey. It's like, okay, do I feel with the intention to discover where is your unworthiness? In my class, it was more like you're part of the group, and then I am giving, and some others in the chat are saying, oh, but I don't feel worthy of that. Okay, everyone is resonating with that, and I'm giving some instructions to the superconscious to clear that. This is we can co-create as a group and say, so that we can really clear as many of those as possible.
That's very, very interesting. Colette, thank you for sharing from your work. Another question, I know we're already a bit beyond what we agreed as a time, but if you still have a few minutes, I think that might be interesting. Because you're not only, from what I understand, kind of working one-on-one with people in terms of healing and creating, but you're also educating trainers who are then
Yes.
working with other people. And maybe you want to share a little bit about what are the principles and teaching others these kind of empowering modalities, or how do you work with trainers? What is the distinction to working with clients
Yes.
directly?
All right. So first of all, on my side, my son was with me from the beginning. He's a coach and I'm a therapist. And there was so much work to be done. He took over the entire training for psychotherapists, coaches, and healers who wants to learn this. So there is a certification program, which, it takes several months, 7 months, and it's very, very advanced because we're serving psychotherapists who have studied for 30 years, some of them, everything. And they still come to see us and learn MAP because of the expertise in that and going very deep in all those different types of memories. So that's one part which I don't supervise much at all. My son is really the head trainer. There is a protocol. You end up having a protocol, like a summary sheet, if you want. That's what we call the map of the self-conscious programs. And it looks more like a tree with different questions to ask and going deeper and deeper into all the details. And then there is a manual with hundreds of new instructions, aside from Dr. Flint's core instructions. So the ones we have developed at the Institute that are unique to us. Along the years of studying, and it has been 10 years now we have been doing that. And then the coach learns how to muscle check, to actually do kinesiology, to find on the map, in which order to address the memory structure in the easiest, fastest, and gentlest way. So that's where we have literally systemized the entire practice. You learn how to muscle check and communicate with the subconscious of the client. And then you have a map and different sections. And then you address the issues through the protocol and the instructions. So that's the training for the certification.
That's amazing. Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to give us an insight into your incredible work. How can people learn more about what you do, and what kind of offer do you possibly want to share with our audience? Or where can people get to know you? How can they work with you, get to know the MAP methodology?
And the easiest would be to go on the website, MAP, M-I-A-P,
Mhm,
coachinginstitute.com.
mhm,
And in the header, there is a free training. It's 20 minutes that explains a little bit, that has very interesting case studies and all of that. So you sign up for that, and at the end of that, you will be offered a $37 program where it's called a master class, where you will have a little video course and a free ticket to a 2 hour with me on a webinar, a
mhm,
live experience, so that you can actually experience a map session yourself. So for $37, it's an
mhm,
amazing, deal. And you end up spending 2 hours with me in a small group. And I do it several times a week, so you will have a chance to jump on anytime and then learn about map and then see if it resonates with you. And then you
mhm,
can go further if you resonate.
mhm. That's amazing. Yeah. So we will put it into the description to this podcast. Colette, thank you so much, yeah, for this conversation. And it's very inspirational, very interesting. So everyone who is watching and listening to this, please go check it out. Colette, is there any last word you want to share with us? Do you feel our conversation is complete for now?
Yes, I mean, I do have an Amazon International best-selling book,
Ah, yes,
Abundance on
please.
Demand. It's
Please
my
let
book
us
right now.
know about it. We can also link to it.
Because yeah, it's the story of MAP, and its connection to money blocks, because that's my specialty. I discovered that once I lost my inheritance, how painful it is. And so, yeah, so for those who want to read a little more, go to Amazon. It's actually in English and in French. Now it's been translated. We're beginning to develop in French.
Amazing. Yeah. So we will also link to the book in the description.
Mhm.
And before we started this recording, you just shared a little bit about that the work and your methodology is kind of spreading and
Oh,
um,
yes.
expanding.
Expanding, yes,
Yeah.
yes. In my team, we are more than 33, just in my team, in my company.
Hmm.
We have trainers from Singapore, Australia, France,
Hmm.
UK, everywhere. And of course, then we have coaches from all over the
Hmm.
world. Um, and yeah, we're expanding in companies in Silicon Valley
Hmm.
area. Um, yeah, in many, many areas, especially also in different, we have many different sub-programs that we have developed in my team. One of them is helping with autoimmune disorders, as the connection between trauma and autoimmune. For those who have those disorders, we begin to know the connection.
Hmm.
We have amazing results with that.
Hmm.
So once you are in the, you have experienced MAP, you can look around, you will
Hmm.
see there are use for autoimmune, for weight loss, for relationship issues, and narcissistic personalities for those who have painful relationships. So we have a lot of different other programs. Um, so if you're curious, go to the website and
Hmm.
just have fun,
Hmm.
explore.
Amazing. Yeah, that's excellent close, I think, to our conversation. Explore. So please do that.
Yes.
Colette, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. Maybe we could have a second conversation. Also, my invitation to you listeners, please comment. Let us know what is of interest in a possible second conversation. And yeah,
I'm open.
I thank you for your time here, Colette. Thank you to our audience for your attention. Take care, stay true to yourself, and see you next time.
And thank you, Simon.
Yeah.
and
Goodbye,
welcome.
everyone. Yeah.
Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.